All right, we welcome you back to Sports Night. A new face on Sports Night with us. Joining us tonight is Forrest Conoly from Florida State University. Forrest, great to see you.
Great to see you, too.
Forrest, of course, had a great career at Florida State. Just to familiarize everybody with your days at Florida State, I want to show people when you were there and some of the numbers here. As you say, offensive lineman. Oh, well, that's a surprise because I thought you were a fleet wide receiver with your size and strength. And I want to ask you about Florida State. I want to ask you about Bobby Bowden and about Jimbo Fisher. So just get us started by talking about Florida State, where the program's gone, and what you think about where they're going this year.
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty coming into this season. You know, we had Bobby there for 34 years, and everybody was kind of anxious, excited, but nervous at the same time. We started out very well, did what we were supposed to do against Sanford, but to go to Oklahoma and lose the way we did, you know, it's been a Jekyll and Hyde season. I think people are kind of nervous right now because at one time we were talked about as being one of the best teams, if not the best team in the ACC. And now with losing 2 games in a row the way that we've lost, you know, we're 2 plays away from being in the top 10 right now. And so there's a little nervousness, there's a little uncertainty, and I think right now you can be excited, but scared in a sense also.
And I think the latest word is that Ponder is doubtful for that game against Clemson on Saturday with his elbow injury. All that said and done in this first season under Jimbo Fisher, do you get a sense in Tallahassee that fans feel like progress is being made and the Florida State program is moving back in the right direction, or it's more of the status quo that you had in the last few years under Bowden?
Well, I think it's 50-50 right now. I think that you've got a lot of people that understand that it's a transitional period. It takes time for these guys to learn a new system, the nuances of Jimbo's offense, and you've got Coach Stoops coming in with an entirely different defense. Our guys aren't used to playing zone defense, and that's why Carolina was able to eat us up the way they did this past weekend. I think as those guys get their recruits in and the guys learn to play the game the way these coaches coach, I think they'll do better. But right now, it's real nervous. It's nervousness down there. You know, they've got to win this weekend against Clemson, and then they've got to win at Maryland, and they've got to hope that NC State slips up again.
It's not an easy question to answer. Who do you think is going to be representing the ACC in the title game in Charlotte when all is said and done?
Well, everybody talks about Virginia Tech, and I'm not a true believer in Virginia Tech. I think that they haven't played anybody. This week they played Georgia Tech, and if Nesbitt doesn't get hurt, who's to say they win that game? Right now, Virginia Tech and Miami, there's some you know, ifs, ands, and buts about that. Virginia Tech can easily lose this weekend against Carolina, and you know, so that the Coastal Division is up in the air. As far as the Atlantic Division, North Carolina State is in the driver's seat. You know, they have to win. Now, they have a tough game against Carolina coming up, and they play a tough game against Wake. And, you know, so you never know what team is going to show up. Florida State, they can still play for it, but they've got to win, and they've got to take care of business coming this Saturday.
All right, let's switch over to the SEC, talk a little bit. The SEC, first of all, the SEC is also a mess in the East, particularly because nobody knows who's going to win that. It could be determined this weekend when South Carolina goes down to play Florida, and South Carolina's going there with some injuries, particularly on the defensive side, and Steve Spurrier has had a hard time going back trying to win down in Gainesville.
Well, I tell you, Steve Spurrier has something this year that he hadn't had in a while. It's a defense, and they've got confidence. You know, they beat Alabama. They were the first to break through that armor of the Crimson Tide, and they showed teams the blueprint of how to beat Alabama. Arkansas showed us some chinks in the armor, but South Carolina showed us how to win that game. And I think Florida's not as strong as they have been in the past. You know, if you kind of do a survey, I think the fans down there still like Steve superior. Not Spurrier, but superior. And I think that, you know, it's going to be a tough game. I wouldn't be surprised if South Carolina goes down there and win.
Wow.
Auburn and Georgia coming up on Saturday, the big game that could determine the Western Division champion if the Tigers go ahead and win that thing. Of course, the Cam Newton controversy is the big story during the week. I don't think it'll be a distraction to the team. Could be a distraction to Cam Newton, which would be a problem. What do you think?
Well, first of all, it's funny how these accusations come out from Mississippi State, from Mullen, who was his offensive coordinator at Florida, and now the allegations from Florida. You know, I think that, you know, we saw a little bit of Urban Meyer this past offseason when he resigned and then came back. It was a little Tebow hangover with Mullen. You know, he's trying to build a program, and I guarantee you he was upset that this kid didn't come to Mississippi State knowing that this kid had a relationship with him at Florida. And so, but at the end of the day, he's a kid. He's made some errors in judgment, as we all have. And I don't think it'll affect his Heisman candidacy. I don't think it'll affect him this Saturday. I think he'll go out, he'll handle business against Georgia, and I think he'll be prepared to take that team all the way.
If you're a Heisman voter, does it change your perception in any way, shape, or form?
Not at all.
All right. That's all I needed.
Yeah, when you get down to it, there's a thing about integrity being involved in the Heisman Trophy winner, and right now it's just accusations. But do you think this Reggie Bush situation, where Reggie Bush, years after he wins the Heisman Trophy, they find things out, announce it, he admits to it, and gives back the Heisman Trophy? Do you think that that's in the mind of Heisman voters now, of saying, wow, we don't want another Reggie Bush situation?
I think it is, but at the same time, Reggie Bush was doing these things when he was at USC. These are things that they're bringing up about Cam Newton prior to him getting to Auburn.
Good point. All right. It's great to have you with us. Hope you come back and join us again sometime.
We'd love to.
This is Forrest Conoly, who's a great offensive lineman for Florida State University. We're going to come back in just a moment with Bob Fusella. Is he buying or selling? Up, down? We don't know.
Who could win a Tigers-Ducks showdown right now? Can the Noles still come out on the top of the Atlantic? Are the New York Football Giants the best in the league? We'll get some answers from Bob Fusella and this crew in this week's Buy or Sell.